Firewalk Studios is already making headlines, guys, because they put their game Concord, yeah, the Dollar Tree version of Overwatch out. It's in beta, a closed beta release that has like next to no concurrent players. This studio is probably going to go under. Firewalk Studios, the dev team behind it, they made a flop, and it's because it's injected and infected to the brim with DEI. I mean, the pronouns are in the bios of robots. Yeah, robots in this game have pronouns. Well, now there's a whistleblower coming out talking about Firewalk Studios as a whole, most notably the, I guess, creative director for the game. Yeah, they're known as the Professor, right? The Professor, you can see their photo right here. I mean, they fit the bill. Why do they all look the same, guys? Why do they all look the same? They got the weird undercut, the sideways part. Honestly, the only thing this person's missing is the nose ring, which I'm surprised they don't have. But this person right here basically is lunatic. Lunatic, destroying the company. Now, this article that Smash JT wrote on his website says that there's secret details that shine a light on not just the operational failures, but the personal dynamics that might be influencing the studio's output. You know, get woke, go broke. While this place is where that mind virus goes to mutate. So here's the tweet that he embedded in here. And this is the whole thing that is basically getting exposed by this whistleblower, talking about how this individual, the Professor, who's not even a professor at all, is basically just unhinged, and it's a toxic work environment. And it's almost like karma came to collect, because again, if you go woke, you go broke. We got people that are involved in the gaming industry that are more worried about DEI efforts and getting ESG money. And I can't even say it. That's how retarded this whole thing is. Instead of actually making real good games. So you can see he said, Firewalk Studios, the studio behind the impending Concord flop, has serious internal issues. One of their devs, Lisa Brown, a.k.a. @Wordle, who is on Twitter and, of course, protected tweets. That's what it is. Protected tweets, that's the go-to. I'm surprised they don't even have the Palestinian or Ukraine flag or watermelon, but they do have the pronouns of they, them listed on their thing. This is the principal game designer at Firewalk Studios, right? And I guess everything that is wrong with Concord is basically they're doing. They're the one in charge. You can see that they came out as non-binary and forced everyone at the company to call her Professor. So we can get into this in a minute. I've heard of forcing preferred pronouns, but now we're just going to force people to call you Professor no matter what. That if they don't call you that is an issue. That's kind of strange. Now, they said she would regularly have meetings with cheesy phrases like teaching, learning with the professor. She pushed extreme politics, hated guns, and wanted unvaxxed staff fired. This is just a part of why Concord is such a delusional mess. I found out a lot more about this studio, just awaiting confirmation before going public with other stuff. So, according to Smash JT's article, this is a verified source that is fearing retaliation, but that there's a lot more of a deep dive coming in that he's going to be posting and making videos about. So we'll see what goes on with that. But of course, you know, they're getting trashed in the comments. You see, almost as bad as Jared Fogle, who insisted his partners and underlings call him daddy. Well, yikes. So this thing hates guns, yet was working on an FPS. We saw that not long ago. Literally, somebody that worked on Halo was crying about the guns. Simon Stevens, shoutouts to them, says, I can only imagine how it's going for the same developers who are forced to serve up that slop. Firewalk to the unemployment office studios. The game design reflects the toxic ideology behind it. Not surprising at all. Talk about an HR nightmare. Just imagine the eggshells the other employees have to cautiously walk through. Sounds like a narcissist is taking advantage of corporate DEI culture and fear to control the project. Professor is not a preferred pronoun. It's a highly sought time people go to school for years to achieve. This explains so much why Concord is so much outwardly woke than Sony's other games. And you can just see they're just really calling it out. Explains a lot. I would say, can this get more embarrassing? This is just pure comedy. I mean, they're getting absolutely trashed and buried. And again, this individual's under protected tweets because they can't handle the backlash, guys. They can't. They're all soft. They're all thin-skinned. That's the problem with them. Now, Continuing on with this article, it says Lisa Brown, who goes by Whirl, and now in protected mode after being exposed, of course, a developer at Firewalk recently declared themselves as non-binary and required all coworkers to refer to her as the professor within the workplace. Something she does not have any professional credentials for, but hey, details, am I right? But here's where it gets really crazy. Now listen to this. Listen to this. This change, according to the source, has led to enforced company-wide adjustments in address and interaction. Meetings have taken on a weird life of their own, characterized by phrases like teaching, learning with the professor, which, as reported, have not been universally well received by the staff. But many who work there are afraid to speak up due to a very left-leaning political environment, and they work in fear of repercussions for trying to speak out. So they're basically being ordered, hey, you will call me the professor, and if you don't obey my ideologies, you're going to get fired. It's a toxic work environment. Imagine working under those conditions where a lunatic is forcing you to refer to them as the professor, and they're making meetings, and you have to address them in certain interactions and stuff. Like, okay, what is this world even coming to? So this continues on to say Brown's influence appears to extend into more contentious areas. The whistleblower details how Brown has been vocal about their political beliefs, expressing a disdain for guns. Yes, you read that right. This dev doesn't have an affinity for weapons, yet worked on developing a squad-based hero shooter. Like, what the fuck? And then also the whole thing of firing unvaccinated staff members and stuff. Like, okay, haven't you heard of personal convictions? Like, some people might not do it because of religion. Some people just might not do it. I believe in freedom of choice. You don't have to get vaxxed if you don't need to or want to. But according to this whistleblower, they push to get those people fired. And Smash hits it on the head right here. He says, these stances, while perhaps reflective of personal convictions, are suggested to contribute to a divisive and uncomfortable atmosphere at Firewalk Studios. So yeah, I mean, you could think of how lackluster this is performed, the low concurrent player base, because going in, this game was pretty much dead on arrival. People were trashing the trailer for it. People were looking at the robots with pronouns. People were looking at, like, hey, do we really need this type of game again? We already have so many, like, Overwatch and stuff that's been around for a while. And you can see, I mean, everybody trashed it. Look at Grums. Every single character in Concord by Firewalk Studios has their pronouns listed, even the robot. This has the usual suspects very excited. So you can see a screenshot from a Wokey. Small additions that are so meaningful. Like, why would you need a robot to have pronouns? Like I don't fucking get it. Now, Vera Dark just today actually exposed another person that's working with this game, and I'm sure this is going to be a development story as well. The senior concept artist at Firewalk Studios, who's been working on Concord, has a history of attacking gamers who've criticized upcoming games like the Silent Hill 2 remake, and has been vocal about her hate for Grums, even calling his rhetoric dangerous. And we always hear people saying, oh, Grums brainwashes people with fake outrage, he's a piece of shit, and basically a grifter, and they act like he's tricking his audience, that his audience can't think for themselves, and all this crap. At the end of the day, it's because, like I said, we're all grifters because we're going against the grain of what you're trying to push out there. And it looks like people that work for Concord, like the majority of them, are all infected. So let's look at some of these tweets. This is from a senior concept artist. Look, right-wing fans complaining about the way Angela looks in the remake is telling. We're talking about a character who's a sexual assault incest victim. Victims like this often gain weight, cover up as much as possible. You don't even have to ever argue with those people. They tell themselves immediately. These right-wingers are showing they do not care about anything below surface level, and they're unable to understand the media they consume. No, the people that are wokies, they're the ones that are unable to understand the media that you consume, because you always want everything changed. You always want DEI check boxes checked out. You want stuff to be changed. You want source material to be less offensive to you because you're so narcissistic that you have to see yourself relatable in everything that you see. So you make everything devoid of any kind of creativity. DEI kills art. Elon Musk said that the best. And, you know, we end up getting androgynous looking characters. We end up getting female characters uglified on purpose because we can't have the male gaze be, sexually attracted to anything, right? It's only when it goes along the LGBTQ agenda that sexual attractiveness is allowed. And these tweets are coming out. You could see this guy Grums was just sad and funny at first, but this is actually defending a predator. At this point, this guy's rhetoric is dangerous. And of course, this is in reference to the Dr. Disrespect situation, which at this point in time, nobody's calling out Chris Tyson. All these people, I guarantee you, this senior concept artist has not called out the Chris Tyson situation solely because they're LGBTQ, and that's how these guys work. They're all backwards. They're all sick in the fucking head, and now apparently we have this head honcho over here called the professor at Firewalk Studios that's literally so delusional and unhinged in the head that they're creating an unsafe work environment where you have to call them the professor, on top of following their preferred pronouns, and that if you're unvaccinated, you're risking your fucking job. Like, everybody that is in the gaming industry are political activists in disguise, and they're constantly on the witch hunt and stuff. And when it's done back to them, guys, if you call them out, if you try to get them canceled, they cry, they play victim. We saw it all with this assassination attempt the other day, where Libs of TikTok is literally calling people out for making bad comments about the bullets being missed and everything like that. And then, oh, you guys are canceling us, blah, blah, blah. Two wrongs don't make it right. No, it's hilarious. But yeah, there's apparently this wacko, which there's more to be told. Smash JT is supposed to be doing a deep dive, so we'll see just how far this rabbit hole goes with Firewalk Studios. Wanted to give my thoughts on it. Again, sick in the head, retarded. This game, dead on arrival. I haven't even checked it out. I consider it because, hey, maybe it'd be a shit show that I would like to enjoy to watch. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next one.